So, can you believe it? We actually have a brand new Nintendo Direct to talk about. It's crazy. It feels like Bizarro World that we even get to do it. But we all know that after 530 days this week, Nintendo finally said, hey, here's the first new Nintendo Direct in over a year. 50 minutes worth of stuff. We're talking about games for the first half of 21. So let's be excited. There was a massive amount of hype for this Nintendo Direct, probably more than I've ever seen, due to the fact that it has been so long, close to a year and a half, and of course the fact that they announced it was going to be 50 minutes and also talking about new games. I mean, it was literally the perfect storm of exciting information, and you could tell by how many people were just waiting to watch the damned live stream on Nintendo's YouTube channel. This thing was going to be huge. Now, of course, now that the thing is over, we are seeing some of the typical Nintendo Direct tropes and reactions come out, where some people are definitely very happy and satisfied with it, but there are a lot of people who are not. And so we're seeing that standard Nintendo Direct division happening now that it's done. So obviously I want to talk about my thoughts, what I think this means for Nintendo, and yeah, I want to review the show a little bit, and I'll talk about some of the games that I'm actually excited for. Of course, before we jump too much more into this whole Nintendo Direct topic, I do want to remind you that I'm always trying to grow the channel here. I post and upload several videos every single week talking about Nintendo and Metroid and all things gaming, so as you watch this video, if you seem to like what I'm doing and what you see, then hopefully you will consider subscribing to the channel to help me cross more milestones very soon. So here's the thing, you guys. I'm just going to lay it right out there here in the beginning of this video before I start, breaking down some of the stuff that they actually showed. My personal overall reaction to the Nintendo Direct, I thought it was pretty darn good. I really, really enjoyed it. And I need to also let you know the caveat here when I say that I enjoyed it is that by far and away, most of the stuff they showed was not exciting to me. There were so many games that were just boring to me, unexciting, not my style or my genre, just things I just really couldn't care about. I mean, there was tons of filler for me. But the thing is, there's millions of people that watch a Nintendo Direct, which means there's millions of different opinions and preferences from every single viewer watching one of these shows. So it's impossible for every single game to hit it out of the park for every person. All I needed was an entertaining show that made me feel excited and warm and comfy knowing that Nintendo Directs are back, and that gave me a handful of things to be excited for. That's all I need out of any given Direct is a handful, right? Just let me grab a couple games. Okay, these few games make me excited. I don't care about this rest of this stuff. This is for other people to enjoy, but this is for me to enjoy. And in this Direct, I had a pretty solid handful. Of course, like I said, even on Twitter reacting to the Direct once it was over, I think it's important to remember that it's okay if people loved the Direct, and it is also okay if people didn't like the Direct. It's not about everyone has to agree with your opinion on the Direct. It's just about how do we treat each other, okay? How are we reacting to people sharing their opinions? When somebody says they thought the Direct was garbage and terrible, doesn't mean that you, as somebody who liked it, needs to say, oh my god, you're so dumb, you're so stupid, your tastes are the worst, what's your problem, you should just die, I hate you so much. We don't need to do that stuff. And if you hated the Direct but see someone who likes it, you don't need to go after them saying, how could you possibly enjoy that complete nonsense in that show? I mean, that's not really how we need to react to each other. I think it's okay if somebody loved it or hated it or was in the middle, and that's fine. Like I said, I mostly enjoyed it. As somebody who probably only found like 5 titles to be excited for out of this 50-minute Direct, I still would give it a B+, because I thought the show was fun, it was entertaining, it was just so nice to see new games being announced, and also getting some updates on games that already exist, like Hyrule Warriors and Super Smash Bros. That stuff is very cool. I do have to say I find it interesting how they chose to kind of organize and structure this Direct. The tweet that they gave out the day before said that they were going to be talking about available games like Smash Bros. Ultimate, and then covering games for the first half of 2021, which obviously meant up until June of this year, so the remaining 4 months of the year here, 4.5 months. And that was very cool and very exciting. And I kind of expected them to start off with some of the stuff we already knew about, like, here's an update for Smash, for Animal Crossing, Hyrule Warriors, whatever else they were going to do. And then in the back half, maybe just focus on now, let's talk about the new stuff or whatever. Not that they've ever really done that before, but I just kind of thought that they might. What they used to do back in the day is they would do all 3DS games, and then they would move on to Wii U games, and eventually they would make that Switch games. And they would kind of segment it that way, and so I thought maybe they would do something similar here. And they didn't. It was just a mishmash, smattering of stuff. I mean, they even opened up with Smash Brothers. But that's normal, because they usually will open or close with the new Super Smash Bros. Reveal, and in this one they chose to open with it. But it also needs to be noted that in true Nintendo fashion, they kind of lied to us about that in that tweet, right? Because they even covered a couple of things that are beyond the first half of 2021, or they even covered stuff for next year in 2022. Obviously, we'll talk about that in a couple moments here. But it should be noted that there was a release date for a very exciting game for myself that is beyond June, that they confirmed. And so I'm like, I don't even know why you told us it was first half of 21. Why didn't you just say it's just games that are coming out soon? Like, they didn't even commit to that part of their tweet, so I just thought it was kind of weird. Okay, enough of that stuff. Let's actually talk about the games and what they showed and what the impact was and what all of this means, because some of their choices in this Direct definitely tell us a lot. And let's just start off with the biggest thing. We know what we need to talk about here, you guys, and it's The Legend of Zelda. The big news, the incredible news, the shocking news is that Breath of the Wild 2 was nowhere to be seen. And when they started the Zelda portion near the end of the Direct, IG Enuma popped up, which was very great and very exciting. You probably couldn't tell on my reaction video I posted, because every time the screen went to black, I was hoping the next game they were going to show was going to be Metroid. And so when Enuma popped up, I was very excited internally, but my reaction was very just like, okay, it's not Metroid. Okay, let's just see some Zelda stuff. So anyway, the point is, he popped up and it was very exciting, because we're like, here we go, Breath of the Wild 2, maybe we're going to get collections, we're going to get old games, we're going to get some other new Zelda game, like, bring it on. And the most insane information I don't think any of us expected is he told us that Breath of the Wild 2 is not yet ready to show. That felt very weird and very strange. Now, it doesn't have to mean bad news for the game. That could have just been very much by design, because they plan on showing it later, like maybe around the summer. But it also could mean not the greatest news. Maybe it means this game is either struggling in development, which is kind of doubtful, or maybe the scope of the game is so big that it's just not a game that's meant to release this year the way a lot of us think. Maybe they're trying to tell us not to expect Breath of the Wild 2 in 2021. If that's the truth, that is mind-blowing to me, and I'm not upset about it. You know, like, I might be disappointed as a game fan and as a Zelda fan, but would I be upset and angry and rageful about it? No, of course not. You take the time you need to make the game you need to make. I have that opinion about Metroid Prime 4. How could I not also have it about Breath of the Wild 2? The only difference is it just feels like Breath of the Wild 2 should be way closer to completion and should be releasing this year, one would think. And this seemed like the time to do it, and he even popped up and referenced the game. But he had nothing to show. Instead, it was all about a totally different game. Of course, that other game is The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD. Hallelujah, it's real. Just like your boy has been telling you for 2 years. When people said it couldn't be done and there was no way to bring Skyward Sword off of the Wii onto any platform because of the motion controls. And like, I've been telling you for years, like, I think it's possible. I think it's going to happen. And Nintendo has planted seeds and tried to get us excited about Skyward Sword. And every time I would even make videos, including not that long ago, where I said, I think Skyward Sword is possible. I think the motion controls can work with the Joy-Cons, and I think that there is a way to make the game work without motion controls. And most people thought that I was nuts, and they thought that other people who said that were nuts, and that it wasn't going to happen. And this has been a good week for me, because I've been right on almost everything I've been saying the last couple of months. It turns out Skyward Sword HD is real, and it's coming to the Switch, and I think it looks amazing. Granted, I'm already a fan of the game. I've loved the game from the day it came out. I've never been a hater. I've never been down on it. I even liked the motion controls. I love the story. I love the gameplay. And so just to see the game get a new life is exciting, because I'm already a fan. Some people are not fans of the game, and so I understand if this announcement doesn't do much for you, because it's a game you already know you don't like, and that's totally okay. No one has to like every single game. But I am a fan of it, and also, if you watched my reaction, you know this, the shocker to me is the fact that this game releases on my birthday. July 16th, baby. Skyward Sword HD coming just for me. I'm pretty pumped about that. I couldn't believe it. I was like, this game is on my birthday? I've been supporting the idea of this game for over 2 years, and it's like I'm getting rewarded, rewarded by having this game released on my birthday. Very cool. They also showed some amazing Skyward Sword Joy-Cons. I haven't bought a single new pair of Joy-Cons since my launch day Switch. So this will officially be the first new Joy-Cons that I do purchase because they got that Zelda swag and I need Zelda on my Joy-Cons. Now, before I move on to the rest of the stuff, I do want to address a pretty interesting comment and question that I got on my reaction video to the Skyward Sword thing. And this comes from someone named Travis Hodges. He put this on as a comment on that video, and I wanted to address it real quick. I think you guys will find this interesting. He said, out of curiosity, what makes this different from 3D World? You seem on board to buy this, meaning Skyward Sword, but it's probably just HD visuals and just the same game from the Wii. Just liking Zelda more is a valid reason, but I'm curious. Now, this is a really good question. It's a well thought out question. And I get why he asked it, and I think it's worth me addressing for a minute, because what he's referring to is the fact that I have decided so far not to buy Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury on the Switch, because, as you've heard me say, I own the game on the Wii U. I still have it to this day. I played and beat it, years ago, and so I'm not feeling the need or the pull to play 3D World again, and Bowser's Fury, as awesome as it looks, at only 3 to 6 hours doesn't justify a $60 price for me. And so he's asking what the difference is and why I'm so excited for Skyward Sword. And I'll tell you the main reason is the fact that it might seem trivial to some of you, but to me, this is just how it works in my brain. And this is how I choose to spend my money that I work for to earn. So how I'm choosing to spend my money is based on this. 3D World is a last-gen game, and it's like the 10th Wii U port in a long line of Wii U ports, a last-gen console where I still own every single game that came out on it, at least every single major Nintendo game that came out on it. And it's last generation. I don't think that this game needed the port. For Skyward Sword, that game came out more than a generation ago, okay? And that game also has not yet been made available in HD. 3D World is last gen and is already in HD. Skyward Sword is one of those older games that's more than a generation old and from a standard definition era now being brought over into high definition. And it does help that, yes, I enjoy the Zelda franchise a little bit more than Mario, but I also love Mario, so don't get me wrong there. And I mean, just in case that seems inconsistent to some of you, I'll help further convince you by telling you I purchased and was very excited for Mario 3D All-Stars, which is 3 older games that are more than a generation old that were never in HD, brought over to HD. And that made me excited to spend $60, just like Zelda Skyward Sword makes me excited to spend $60. When it comes to 3D World, it is a great game, I admit it, but it's not that old. I just played it, I just beat it, I already supported it on the console that everyone turned their back on, and so I just haven't seen enough to make me have to buy that game right away. I very likely will give in and buy it in a couple of weeks. I mean, I really think I will, just because I want to play Bowser's Fury. But that's kind of the difference there. Hopefully that makes sense. It's all about the last gen thing and the HD thing. I've supported the Mario version of this with 3D All-Stars, and so I plan on supporting the Zelda version of this with Skyward Sword. Now we have to talk about the other elephant in the room, and it's the lack of Metroid, you guys. No Metroid at this Direct. So I'm really hoping that you watched my Direct predictions video the day before the Direct, because I kind of laid this out for you guys. I will admit, I had very, very strong faith that Metroid was very likely going to show up in this Direct. Between the Prime Trilogy or a new 2D game or maybe even the vaguest hint at Metroid Prime 4, I was like, I think this is the time to see Metroid. And of course that did not happen. I wanted to think a new 2D Metroid, a Samus Returns HD port, that Prime Trilogy. I don't know. I thought this was the time, and it didn't happen. But, like I said, I was referencing my predictions video before the Direct aired, and I said something there that I hope you guys heard, which was that, yes, I maybe am thinking Metroid is going to show up in this Direct, but even if it doesn't, if there is no Metroid, I personally will still be okay, and I don't think it says anything bad about the state of the franchise, because I do think it's very possible, and we've even seen evidence of this already, that coming out of the Direct with no Metroid, that a lot of people are like, oh man, Metroid's screwed, it's done, it's dead, Nintendo doesn't care, Metroid Prime 4 is never going to release, we're not getting a Prime Trilogy, and it's gone forever, okay? People getting all doom and gloom about it because it wasn't in the Direct. And as I said, I don't think that we need to be freaking out about that. We can't forget, yes, this is the first Direct in 500 days, so we all felt that Nintendo needed to put every single game they've ever made into this Direct. And that's not the case, man. They're very selective still about what they chose to show. And I feel that they just realized maybe this is the first Direct. We got more coming later in the year. And so we're going to wait to show Metroid until later in the year. I truly believe that. I still think we're seeing a Prime 4 trailer this year. And I still think we're getting a Prime Trilogy or maybe even something else releasing this year. I really feel Metroid's coming in 2021, even though we didn't see it in the Direct. It's only the first Direct in the second month of the year. There is so much time. And because of the anniversary celebration, this applies to Breath of the Wild too. Because of the anniversary celebration, I think they chose not to show Metroid and Breath of the Wild 2 in this Direct because they're going to have presentations for both of those franchises later in the year. Or they're going to celebrate and discuss these franchises over some form of an E3 summertime big Direct to celebrate what's happening with Metroid and also with Zelda. I'm going to quickly run through just some of the other games that made me very excited to see. Obviously, I have to talk about my most anticipated 2021 title, No More Heroes 3. They finally showed it. They confirmed another thing that I said that I got correct, by the way, which was August for the release. August 27th for No More Heroes 3. Bring it on, baby. Summertime. And I've been saying August, like July or August have been my target dates, but I've been focused on August. So that's another thing you can add to the win column for me this week. It's absolutely crazy. I'm so excited to see No More Heroes 3 coming. I love what they showed. I will admit, the gameplay was weirdly choppy and weirdly blurry. I don't understand that because the first trailer they released last year for this game that showed gameplay looked way better in quality than what they showed in this Direct. So that part's strange, but if I don't worry about that just yet, as far as the gameplay, the mechanics, the return of the Power Glove, the evil glove that he used in Travis Strikes Again, I mean, this game is going to be incredible. I'm so excited. Mario Golf coming back is crazy exciting. I cannot wait. I love Mario Golf. My hope for this game is that you can turn the music off. That sounds like a weird request, but my memories of playing Mario Golf on the 64 and the GameCube is no music, and you're just golfing, very relaxing, hearing like the wind and the water and the birds and the insects just making noise. Like you can hear the ambience of the world around you. I hope you can do that in this game, but I'm excited for the new additional modes, the Super Speed Golf. I just love Mario Golf. I'm so glad it's coming back. A huge surprise is Project Triangle Strategy, which is the new game from the team that made Octopath Traveler, one of the few RPGs that I absolutely just adore. And this game is adopting more of the tactics kind of combat. It looks amazing. The demo's already available, and I've yet to have a chance to play it, but I will be getting to it. I'm so excited about this. And then, of course, their closing game was a huge title, and it was the reveal of Splatoon 3, which I briefly mentioned in my prediction video. I'm so glad I just casually threw it out at the end of that conversation. So Splatoon 3 is coming, and maybe not the best game for the final reveal of your trailer, of your Direct, I should say, but man, I love Splatoon. I'm so excited for Splatoon 3. I like seeing the flying intros that they have to the matches. That was kind of interesting. And then they seem to be hinting at or teasing some kind of adventure mode, like a single-player story campaign. I hope that's true because I'll be very excited. And this is the game, by the way, that was revealed for next year. It's coming out in 2022. As far as additional content that got me excited, of course, they revealed Mythra and Pyra as the brand new Smash Bros. Ultimate Fighter. This is a great choice. I didn't love to death Xenoblade Chronicles 2, but I do really like that game. And I like those characters, that character/characters. And I think this is a great, great, great choice for Smash Brothers. This is the one that has finally convinced me to just buy the darn Fighter's Pass for Smash Brothers. So this was a great choice. And then, of course, they did confirm, as I predicted, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity DLC. There's basically a $20 season pass, and there's 2 huge dumps of brand new content available for that game. I loved that game. I put in over 50 hours into that game. I am going to be very happy to go back and play some more of it. So this is basically everything that got me excited in the Direct. So yeah, man, all in all, it was a good show for me. Yes, there are things we didn't see that we wanted to see, right? Like, you know, obviously no Metroid, like I said. We didn't get Metroid. They didn't show Hollow Knight Silksong. They didn't show Axiom Verge. They didn't talk about the Switch Pro that people want so badly. And I know that it still might happen. I'm excited to see if it happens, but they didn't do any of that stuff. No new hardware. It was really just about a bunch of random games, mostly third-party. They were clearly catching up for missed time. And then Skyward Sword and Splatoon. You know, that was really kind of the big thing, and the Smash DLC stuff. So, I don't know. Yes, it could have been a better Direct, but I think that they just needed to get a lot of their smaller tier third-party games out of the way. And I think they're coming back for more stuff very soon, including stuff specifically about Zelda and Metroid. So now that you've heard my thoughts and opinions, I want to hear your own. What do you think about what I discussed and how I felt and reacted to things? And what did you love or hate about this Nintendo Direct? How do you feel about it all? Skyward Sword, Splatoon 3, Mithra and Pyra, all this good stuff. Age of Calamity DLC. Whatever you feel, talk about it below. And with that, this video is a wrap. Of course, don't forget at the end of this video to hopefully subscribe to this channel if you like what you saw today. And with that, this video is a wrap. Thanks, of course, as always, for tuning in, guys. This is Rob of Rule 2 Review, and I will catch you next time on another video.